Strange sounds next door. Jake had lived in the same apartment block for over 3 months. It wasn't anything special, just a quiet building on the edge of the colony's mixed species district. He liked it there. It was peaceful, and he didn't have to deal with too many people. But lately, something strange had been happening. His next-door neighbor, a female alien from a race called the Xilari, had started acting different. Her name was Ziri. She was tall, with silver-blue skin, and always wore long, flowing clothes that shimmered like water. She rarely spoke, just a polite nod when they passed in the hallway. Jake didn't know much about her kind. He only knew they lived longer than humans and didn't like to be touched. Most of the time, he forgot she was even there. Until last week. That's when he started hearing things. At first, it was just low humming. Not a machine. Something more like a voice in pain. Then came the scratching. It sounded like claws dragging across metal. He thought it was an animal at first, but the sounds always came from the same spot, right behind the wall they shared. Last night, it was even worse. He was lying in bed, reading, when he heard soft sobbing. He froze. The sound was faint, but it was there. A mix between crying and something heavier, almost like growling. He sat up, heart beating faster. "What the hell?" he whispered. He got up, pressed his ear to the wall. Silence. Then, thump. A loud thud hit the other side. Jake jumped back. Was she okay? Should he knock? What if it was some alien thing? Maybe she didn't want help. Or maybe this was normal for her species. He hesitated for a long moment, then walked to his door. The hallway outside was quiet, the soft lights casting long shadows. He stepped to Ziri's door and raised his hand. Knock, knock, knock. No answer. He knocked again, a little louder. Finally, the door slid open, just a crack. Her face appeared, but something was wrong. Her skin looked pale, almost glowing. Her eyes, usually calm, were wild, wide, shining with a strange purple light. "Go back," she said softly. "Are you okay?" Jake asked. "I heard sounds. It sounded like you were hurt." She didn't blink. "I'm fine." But she didn't look fine. Sweat clung to her forehead. Her chest rose and fell too quickly. "Ziri, if you're sick or something, I can call someone," Jake said, trying to be careful. Her eyes softened for a second. "You don't understand. It's not safe. Not now. Not safe." She looked over her shoulder, as if checking something behind her. Then she leaned closer to the door. "It's starting," she whispered. "What is?" Her eyes locked onto his. "Mating season." Jake blinked. "What?" She took a shaky breath. "You need to stay away from me. For your own good." Before he could say anything else, the door slid shut. Jake stood there, stunned. Mating season. Was that a joke? Or was this some serious biological thing for her species? He turned around, heading back to his place, but something in his chest felt tight. He couldn't forget the way she looked, like she was fighting something inside her. That night, as he lay in bed, he kept thinking about her voice. "You need to stay away." But instead of warning, there was something else behind her words. Fear. And maybe something more. Her scent changed everything. The next morning, Jake tried to act normal. He made coffee, checked his messages, even looked out the window like he always did. But something was off. It wasn't just what Ziri had said the night before. Mating season. It was something else, something deeper. He could still hear her voice in his mind. Soft, trembling, afraid. And then there was the smell. It started around mid-morning. Jake was sitting at his small table, eating toast, when the air shifted. It was subtle at first, a light scent like flowers after rain. Sweet, warm, and oddly comforting. He thought maybe someone was cooking something in the building. But the smell didn't fade. It got stronger. It filled his apartment. It wrapped around his thoughts. His heart started beating faster, like he was nervous for no reason. His skin tingled. He stood up, confused, and opened a window. But the air outside was normal, clean. The smell was only inside. Then he noticed it, seeping in through the vents, through the cracks in the walls. It was coming from her apartment. Jake backed away from the wall. "This isn't normal," he whispered. He splashed water on his face. It helped for a second. But the scent came back, stronger. It wasn't just sweet. It was calling to something inside him, something he didn't understand. He tried to distract himself, turned on music, cleaned the floor, even did push-ups. Nothing helped. When he passed the hallway mirror, he caught a glimpse of himself. His eyes were bloodshot, his lids dry. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. What is she doing to me? He didn't mean to go to her door, but somehow, without thinking, he found himself standing there again. He knocked. Once. Twice. This time, the door didn't open. Instead, a voice came through, muffled and shaking. "Go away." "Ziri, please," Jake said. "I think something's happening to me. I don't understand." "You were warned," she replied. "I told you to stay away. The scent, it's not meant for you." "Then why can I feel it?" he asked. Silence. Then the door slid open, just enough for him to see her. Ziri looked worse than before. Her silver blue skin shimmered with sweat. Her eyes were glowing faintly. Her hands gripped the wall like she could barely stand. "You're reacting because you were close to me," she said. "The scent was made to attract my kind, but sometimes it spreads to others. Others like humans." She nodded slowly. "It's dangerous," she whispered. "If we bond, it's forever." Those words chilled him. Forever. "I don't want to hurt you, Jake. I don't want to lose control." His name sounded different when she said it. Softer, almost broken. Then, without warning, she stepped back and let the door open wider. He stepped inside. Her apartment was dark, lights dimmed to a deep purple hue. The air was heavy with the scent, intoxicating and strange. Jake tried to focus, but everything felt surreal. Ziri moved slowly, like she was walking through water. "I don't know why this is happening," she said. "I thought I could control it. I've gone through the season before. But this time, it's stronger. It started earlier. And when you knocked last night." "What happened?" he asked. She looked up at him. Her eyes shimmered. "My instincts chose you." Those 4 words hit him like lightning. "What does that mean?" Jake asked, stepping back. "It means that I can't choose anyone else. It means that if I don't bond, my body will begin to shut down. My kind doesn't survive mating season without release. But it's not just about mating. It's about something deeper. Connection. Fusion of minds. Souls." He shook his head, trying to understand. "But I'm human. How can that even work?" "I don't know," she whispered. "It shouldn't. But here we are." They stood in silence for a long moment. Then Jake said, "What happens if we do bond?" "You will never be the same," she replied. "Your thoughts will no longer be yours alone. You will feel what I feel. Joy, pain, everything. Forever." He swallowed hard. "And if we don't?" Ziri's voice dropped to a whisper. "I will die." Jake turned away, running a hand through his hair. This was insane. This couldn't be real. He was just a regular guy. She was alien. Literal alien. But his heart wouldn't stop racing. His skin felt like it was on fire. And deep inside him, something strange was growing. An emotion that had no name. A pull. Ziri stepped closer. Her hand reached out. She didn't touch him, just hovered near his chest. "I don't want to force anything," she said. "But if you feel it too, even a little, we have to decide soon." He looked at her, at the woman who had been just a neighbor days ago. Now she was something else entirely. He could still say no, walk away, let her find someone of her own kind. But what if she couldn't? And why? Why did the thought of leaving her hurt so much? Ziri looked down, eyes closing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "This was never supposed to happen." And then her legs gave out. Jake caught her before she hit the floor. Her body was burning hot. Her skin glowed like fire underwater. Her breath was shallow. "Ziri," he shouted. She opened her eyes slowly. "It's starting," she said faintly. Then she passed out in his arms. Rules were made for her kind, not him. Jake didn't sleep that night. Ziri lay on his couch, wrapped in a blanket, her skin still glowing with that faint, silvery blue light. She hadn't woken up since collapsing in his arms. He checked her breathing every few minutes. Shallow, but steady. He didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't even sure if her biology worked like a human's. Her skin felt too warm. Her pulse was hard to find. And that scent, the one that had filled his apartment, was stronger now. It clung to the air like fog. Jake paced back and forth, glancing at her every few seconds. His heart raced, not just because he was scared, but because, deep down, he felt something else, something he didn't want to admit. He wanted her to wake up. When morning came, she stirred. He rushed over, kneeling beside her. "Ziri," he whispered, "you're okay. You're safe." Her eyes opened slowly, glowing softer now. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice dry. "You're in my place. You fainted." She blinked, trying to sit up. He helped her gently. "You shouldn't have brought me here," she said weakly. "If they find out." "If who finds out?" he asked. Ziri looked at him, pain in her eyes. "The council." Jake frowned. "The alien council." She nodded. "They have rules. Strict ones. My kind, we're not supposed to bond with humans. Ever." "Why?" "Because it's permanent," she said. "Irreversible. Bonding with another Xilari is safe. Bonding with a human can cause changes, dangerous ones, emotional, physical, mental. They fear what might happen if the two species fully connect." "But that's not fair," Jake said. "You're the one in pain. You didn't choose this." "They don't care," Ziri whispered. "They only care about control." She stood slowly, wobbling. Jake helped steady her. "We have to hide it," she said. "No one can know what's happening to me, or what's happening to you." Jake froze. "Me?" Ziri looked at him, more serious now. "You've been exposed to my scent, to my energy. Haven't you noticed it?" He nodded slowly. "You've been feeling different." He nodded again. "You're reacting to me," she said. "Your body is adjusting. It's the start of a link. It's not full bonding yet, but it's growing." Jake's mind raced. He remembered the heat, the dreams, the way her voice echoed in his chest. What happens if the link completes? Ziri's expression turned sad. "Then you'll never be the same. And neither will I." Suddenly, a loud beep came from outside. Ziri rushed to the window and peered through the blinds. Her face went pale. "They're here." "Who?" "The council enforcers." Jake joined her at the window. Outside, a sleek black vehicle hovered silently. 3 tall figures stepped out, dressed in dark robes. Their skin was like polished stone, and their eyes glowed faint yellow. "They know," Ziri whispered. "They tracked the bond." "How?" Jake asked. "All Xilari emit an energy signature when bonding begins. It's monitored." She backed away from the window. "We have to leave. Now." "Where can we go?" "The forest edge, outside the colony. They can't track us there." "Can you walk?" Ziri nodded weakly. "Just help me." Jake grabbed a jacket, helped her stand, and they slipped out the back door of the building. They ran through alleyways, avoiding cameras. Ziri leaned on him the whole way. Every step seemed harder for her. She was burning up again. After nearly an hour of walking, they reached the edge of the forest. It was wild and dense, mostly ignored by both humans and aliens. They stopped near a stream. The sound of water helped calm the silence. Ziri sat on a fallen tree, breathing hard. "This won't stop them," she said. "They'll come." "Let them," Jake replied. "I'm not letting them take you." She looked at him. Her eyes softened. "You don't understand what you're offering." "Maybe not," he said. "But I know this. I'd rather be with you than watch you die because of a rule." Ziri smiled sadly. "Rules were made for my kind, not for yours. They never thought humans would connect like this. They thought your minds were too different, your hearts too cold. But they were wrong." She touched his hand. "You feel it, don't you?" Jake nodded. "I don't know what it is," he said, "but when I'm near you, everything feels right. And when you fainted, I felt like part of me was breaking." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the stream. Then Ziri leaned close. "There's one way we can stop them from separating us." "How?" "Complete the bond." Jake tensed. "Right now. If we complete it, they can't break it. Not legally, not biologically. Once bonded, even the council can't undo it." "But you said it's forever." "Yes," she whispered. "Forever." Jake looked into her glowing eyes. He thought about his quiet life, his safe routine, his loneliness. And now, here was this beautiful, strange, powerful creature who saw him, needed him. A part of him had already made the choice. He nodded. "Then let's do it." Ziri held out both hands. "You have to mean it, Jake. Your thoughts, your feelings. Everything must be open." He took her hands. A sudden rush of warmth moved through his chest, then his head, then everywhere. Her eyes glowed bright. A beam of energy connected them. Soft, silver light wrapping around their fingers. His heartbeat sensed with hers. His thoughts raced, then slowed until he could hear her voice inside his mind. "You're not afraid." "I'm still afraid," he replied, "but not of you." Then came a sharp noise, like a ripple in the air. They turned. 3 council enforcers stood in the clearing. "Step away from each other," one of them said in a low voice. Ziri stood tall. "We've already begun," she said. "You're too late." The enforcers hesitated. "You know the law," the leader growled. "Yes," she replied. "I also know the loophole." They looked at Jake. "Human, do you agree to this bond willingly?" Jake raised his head. "Yes, and I don't care what your law says. She's not just some alien. She's my choice." A long silence followed. Then the leader stepped back. "We will report this to the High Council," he said, "but the bond cannot be undone." They vanished into thin air. Ziri collapsed into Jake's arms again, but this time, not from weakness, from relief. "You saved me," she whispered. Jake held her close. "No," he said. "You saved me first." The council sends a warning. The forest was quiet. After the enforcers vanished, Jake and Ziri sat beneath a giant tree, holding hands. The silver glow that had once connected them had faded, but the warmth remained deep inside their bodies. Jake could feel it, like a quiet heartbeat that wasn't his. She was there, in his mind now. Her presence wasn't loud or overwhelming. It was soft, like a breeze at night. But it was real, and permanent. Ziri looked tired, but peaceful. Her breathing had returned to normal. The pain was gone. Her body had accepted the bond. But something inside her still felt uneasy. "They'll come again," she whispered. "This isn't over." "We bonded," Jake said softly. "They said it couldn't be undone." "They can't break it," Ziri agreed. "But they can still try to punish us, or worse, exile us." "Let them try," Jake replied. "I'll go anywhere with you." She smiled at him, a quiet, grateful smile. But deep inside, She knew it wouldn't be that simple. The council never forgot, and they never forgave. The next morning, Jake and Ziri returned to his apartment before the city fully woke up. They kept their heads down, avoided cameras, and stayed off the main roads. But something was waiting for them. As soon as they reached his door, Jake saw it. A black envelope, placed on the floor like a silent threat. No return name, just a glowing symbol on the front, an eye within a triangle. Ziri froze. That's the council's mark. Jake picked up the envelope. His fingers tingled when he touched it. The seal was warm, like it had just been placed. He opened it. A single message glowed in red ink. You have broken ancient law. Your bond is unauthorized. You have 7 days to appear before the High Council. If you fail to comply, judgment will fall. On both. Beneath the message, a small sphere rolled out of the envelope. It hovered in the air, then projected a hologram. A face appeared, cold, cruel, familiar to Ziri. Ziranis of the Xilari, the voice said, and human subject 49-2. Your actions threaten the balance between species. The council demands your surrender. You have until the 7th cycle. If you resist, you will be hunted. The hologram faded. Silence returned. Ziri slowly sank to the floor. They're giving us time, she said, but not out of kindness. They want to make an example of us. Bonding with a human, it will shake the system. Jake stood still, staring at the now dead sphere. Then we fight it, he said. How? Ziri asked. They control everything. The laws, the science, even the history people are allowed to know. They've hidden the truth about interspecies bonds for centuries. Jake's jaw tightened. Then we find the truth, and we show it to the world. Ziri looked at him, eyes wide. There's a place, she said slowly. An archive, ancient and forbidden. Buried beneath the central city. It holds knowledge even the council fears. If we go there, we might find proof that our bond is natural, that it's not a threat. Can we get in? Jake asked. Not easily, Ziri replied. It's protected by code locks, sensors, and memory gates. Only elders or bonded pairs can open it. But now that we're bonded, we might have a chance. Then we go tonight. Ziri nodded. But before they could plan, something else happened. The power in the apartment flickered. Then the lights went out. A low hum filled the air. They both turned to the window. Outside, a dark figure stood on the rooftop across the street. Tall, still, watching them. Council shadow, Ziri whispered. They sent a hunter early. Jake pulled her away from the window. How do we lose him? We don't, she said. We outsmart him. They quickly packed. A portable scanner, food, heat tabs, and an old data crystal Ziri kept hidden. She said it once belonged to her mother. Inside, it held coordinates to the ancient archive. They left through the underground pipes, old tunnels built during the colony's first years, damp, dark, and forgotten by most. But Ziri remembered. She had explored them as a child. As they moved through the darkness, Jake could feel the bond pulsing inside him. It kept him calm, kept him focused. He knew she was scared, but she hid it well. Her strength inspired him. They climbed through an old grate and emerged behind the central city's market district. Beneath them, hidden under the streets, was the entrance to the archive. Ziri placed the data crystal into a hidden slot in a stone wall. The wall shimmered, then melted away, revealing a narrow stairway that spiraled down into blackness. Are you sure about this? Jake asked. If we don't show them the truth, she said, they'll rewrite our story. They descended. The archive was vast. Glowing walls, floating scrolls, ancient books that seemed to whisper when passed. But something felt wrong. We're not alone, Ziri said. Then the shadow appeared. He moved like mist, his face covered by a smooth mask. No eyes, no mouth, just silence. Leave now. The voice echoed inside their minds. This knowledge is not for you. We have the right, Ziri replied. We're bonded. Your bond is a virus, the shadow said. You break the order. Maybe the order needs to be broken, Jake snapped. The shadow raised a hand. Energy cracked through the air. But before it could strike, the archive responded. A pulse of light surged from the walls. The shadow screamed and vanished into smoke. Ziri collapsed to her knees. A glowing crystal floated in front of them, old, ancient, and humming with power. This is it, she whispered. The bond crystal. Jake touched it. Images rushed into his mind. Alien lovers, human companions, stars exploding with light, hands reaching across time. Their bond was not wrong. It was old, ancient, written into the universe itself. Ziri's voice echoed in his thoughts. They lie to us. They feared this, because it gives us freedom. They took the crystal and ran. The warning had been sent. The council wanted them silenced. But now, they had something stronger than threats. They had truth. Run or bond forever. The bond crystal pulsed between Jake's hands like it was alive. Its glow was soft but endless, casting pale light through the dark tunnel as they ran. Behind them, the ground still shook from the archive's energy wave, the defense that had saved them from the shadow's attack. Ziri led the way, her body moving fast, despite the weight of what they'd just discovered. The ancient archive hadn't just shown them visions. It had proven something the council had hidden for centuries. That bonding between human and Siluri was part of the old code, written deep into the DNA of both species. Not a mistake, not a crime. A connection, chosen by the universe. But that truth wouldn't stop the council from coming for them. They'll know we found it, Ziri said breathlessly. They'll feel the crystal's pulse across the grid. We only have hours before they track it. Then we don't waste time, Jake replied. We show this to the public. Let them see what the council is hiding. Ziri nodded. But to do that, we need to survive until sunrise. They made their way to an old safe house, hidden beneath an abandoned metro line. Ziri had used it once years ago, during her rebel days, before she gave up fighting. As they entered, Jake noticed something. Her glow was flickering. Ziri, are you okay? She collapsed onto the ground, gasping. It's starting again, she whispered. The bond wasn't complete. Not fully. The archive's energy, it pushed it forward. But I'm still unstable. Jake dropped beside her, holding her tightly. What do we do? Ziri gripped his arms. There's only one way now, she said. We have to finish the bond. The true bond. Not just mind, but body, soul, every part of us. Jake swallowed hard. What happens after? Ziri looked into his eyes. You become one of us. Not fully Siluri, not fully human. Something in between. The first of a new kind. And if we don't? Her lips trembled. I die, and part of you dies with me. Jake stared at her. He could feel her pain in his chest, not just because of the bond, but because he cared. More than he had ever cared for anyone. Ziri wasn't just an alien anymore. She was his choice, his partner, his future. He nodded slowly. Then let's finish it. She reached into her coat and pulled out a thin, glowing thread. It shimmered like silk but pulsed like a heartbeat. This is soul fiber, she explained. Used only once in a lifetime, during final bonding. She tied one end around her wrist, then wrapped the other around his. The moment it connected them, the room changed. Walls disappeared. The ceiling vanished. They were no longer in the safe house. They stood in a strange, white space, weightless, floating. Ziri stood in front of him, glowing brighter than ever. This is the bond playing, she said inside his mind. You must give me your truth, and I must give you mine. Only then can we become one. Jake felt his chest open, not physically, but emotionally. Memories flooded out. His childhood, his pain, his loneliness, the nights he sat alone, wondering if he would ever matter to anyone. Ziri stepped forward and placed her hands on his chest. "I see you." Then she opened herself. Her memories hit him like a wave. War, fear, rejection, being told she was broken, unfit, unwanted by her kind. She had grown up believing love was weakness, and bonding with anyone outside her species was a betrayal. But still, she had dreamed of someone like him. Someone kind. Someone human. Tears rolled down Jake's face. "You're not broken," he whispered. "You're the strongest person I've ever met." Their hands locked. The thread around their wrists burned bright, then melted into their skin. Their bodies touched. The bond completed. Light exploded from their chests. Pure, silver-blue light that wrapped around them like armor. It pushed outward, shaking the air, the space, the stars beyond. When they opened their eyes, they were back in the safe house. But something had changed. Jake could hear the heartbeat of the city. He could feel Ziri's thoughts without words. He could smell every detail of the world around him. He had changed, and so had she. Ziri stood taller now. Her skin shimmered with a new energy. Her eyes, once soft, now burned with quiet power. "We're connected," she said. "Truly." Before they could speak more, the safe house shook. The door exploded. Council enforcers stormed in, 10 of them. Laser weapons raised, energy nets glowing. One of them barked, "Stand down. Surrender the crystal." Jake stepped in front of Ziri. His hands were glowing, just like hers. "We don't run anymore," he said. The enforcers fired, but the bond answered. A wave of energy exploded from the couple, throwing the attackers back. The weapons shattered in midair. The walls cracked. The enforcers scrambled to escape. Jake looked at Ziri. "We can fight them." "We don't have to," she said. "Not if we show them what we are." He nodded. "Let's take this to the people." They uploaded the crystal's memory into the grid. In seconds, the truth spread. To humans, to Xelari, to every being in the colony. Screens flickered across the city. Old images, ancient codes, records of bonds just like theirs, hidden for centuries. The people watched, and the world changed. The alien within him. Jake stood in front of the mirror, staring at himself like he was seeing a stranger. His skin hadn't changed color. He still looked human, mostly. But there were differences. His eyes, they glowed softly in the dark now. Silver rings floated inside his irises, moving like ripples in water. His heartbeat had slowed, but it was stronger. His senses were sharper. He could hear distant conversations, smell emotions, even feel the mood of a room without anyone speaking. But the biggest change was inside. He was no longer alone in his own mind. Ziri's thoughts drifted through his consciousness gently, like a song he knew by heart. Not always loud, not invasive. Just there, like breathing. He didn't even need to speak anymore when they were close. She was part of him, and he was part of her. Jake turned away from the mirror and stepped into the small kitchen. Ziri sat at the table, reading the latest reports from the colony's news grid. Since the bond crystal's data had gone public, everything had changed. The council was silent. No statements, no threats, just silence. But the people were speaking. Every day, more stories appeared, quiet whispers of human Xelari connections that had been hidden. Forbidden friendships, shared dreams, private bonds that no one dared admit before. Now, they were all coming out. Jake poured a glass of water. Ziri didn't look up, but she spoke. "Your energy is shifting again." He sat beside her. "Is that good or bad?" "Neither," she said. "It just means you are still becoming." "Becoming what?" he asked. "The first of your kind," she said softly. "Not just human. Not just Xelari. Something new." Jake looked down at his hands. And what if that scares people? Ziri placed her hand over his. Then let them be scared. Fear is always the first step before change. But deep down, Jake still wasn't sure. He remembered how people looked at him now. Some stared in awe, others in confusion, and a few with hate. He had become a symbol, and symbols were dangerous. Later that night, a soft knock came at the door. Ziri stood, tense. Jake reached for a weapon, just in case. But when the door opened, a surprise waited. A human woman stood there, older, dressed in a mechanic's jacket, grease on her hands. "You don't know me," she said, "but I saw your broadcast. I had a auxiliary friend. Years ago, she died in council prison for falling in love with a human. I never got to tell her how I felt." Her eyes welled with tears. "But because of you, maybe someone else won't have to go through that." She reached into her pocket and handed Jake a small badge. "My brother works in grid security. This will get you into the council tower's core. If you're planning something, use it." She turned and left. Jake closed the door slowly. Ziri stepped beside him. "What she gave us, that's everything." "The core," Jake whispered. "It holds the real records, the original laws. If we show that even the council's own archives prove the bond is natural." "They can't deny it anymore," Ziri said. "But they might still destroy us," Jake replied. "Then we risk everything," she said. They made their move that same night. The council tower was the most secure building in the colony. Armed drones, scanning walls, identity locks, and defense fields. But with the badge and Ziri's ability to mask their bond energy, they got inside. Floor after floor, they moved in silence, until they reached the core. A massive circular room, glowing with data streams. Every law, every memory, every secret the council had ever hidden, locked behind one console. Ziri placed her hand on the control pad. "We need 2 minds," she said. "Yours and mine. Together." They closed their eyes. Their joined energy surged into the system. The room shook. Lights flickered. And then, the archive opened. Holograms filled the air. Records of the first bonds. Stories of peace between humans and Silari. Visions of past leaders who once encouraged unity. Jake felt tears rise. They had lied to everyone. Bonding had once been celebrated, until fear, power, and politics turned it into something shameful, something forbidden. "Record it all," Jake said. Ziri nodded, copying everything into the portable crystal. Then suddenly, alarms blared. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Unauthorized access detected. Enforcers incoming." They had minutes. They ran. But at the exit, the shadow waited. This time, it was not alone. 6 enforcers stepped out from the walls, weapons raised. The shadow pointed at Jake. "You are no longer human," it said. "You are a threat to balance, to power. You must be erased." Ziri stepped in front of him. "You fear us because we show the truth. Truth is dangerous," the shadow replied. "But it's already out," Jake said, lifting the crystal. "And soon, everyone will see it." The enforcers opened fire, but something unexpected happened. Jake raised his hand, and the blasts froze mid-air. Energy crackled around him. His body shimmered with silver fire. The bond had grown. It was now his armor, his shield. He pushed his hand forward. The blasts reversed, knocking the enforcers down. Even the shadow staggered. Then it spoke, not with anger, but something closer to fear. "What are you?" Jake looked at it calmly. "On what comes next." He and Ziri walked past the broken guards. Outside, the city lights burned bright, and above them, a new star formed, visible only to those who had bonded. A sign, a beginning. The bond that shocked the stars. The council tower burned behind them, not with fire, but with truth. Jake and Ziri had escaped with a final piece of proof. The ancient data crystal now contained records that had been buried for hundreds of years, stories of human xylari bonds that once brought peace, before power and fear turned love into a crime. They had exposed it all. But the galaxy wasn't quiet. The council hadn't fallen. Not yet. Instead, it had gone silent. Too silent. No messages. No new laws. Not even a denial. Just cold, watching silence. The people were left to wonder. Some called Jake and Zuri rebels. Others called them saviors. Some feared them. Others followed them. But all of them were listening. Now, a new challenge stood before them. The High Council wasn't just political. It was ancient and hidden behind the stars in a city no outsider had ever reached. Only those summoned could enter. And now, Jake and Zuri were summoned. The invitation came not through words, but through light. One night, a beam from the sky struck the heart of the colony. Not a weapon, not a warning. A gate, a message in pure energy. Come before us. Speak your truth. Zuri read it with cautious eyes. This is the final test, she whispered. They want to break us, Jake said. Or they want to see what we've become, she replied. They prepared for the journey. No ships were allowed to enter the high orbit. Only the gate could bring them through. A one-way path that opened only to bonded pairs strong enough to withstand the pressure of galactic energy. Many had tried. Few returned. Zuri looked at Jake before they stepped into the beam. Once we go, there's no going back. I don't want to go back, Jake said softly. Hand in hand, they stepped through. The light swallowed them whole. When Jake opened his eyes, he was no longer in space. He stood on a platform floating above nothingness. Below was not land, but memory. Clouds of glowing past events, old leaders, wars, laughter, pain. The council sat before them, 12 beings of different species, some unknown even to Zuri. They wore no armor, no robes, only silence. A voice echoed in the air, not from one, but from all. Why have you broken the order? Jake stepped forward. We didn't break anything. We revealed what was already broken. And now the galaxy trembles. It trembles because it was built on a lie. What do you seek? Zuri answered now. Freedom, truth, and a place for love. The council paused. Then one of the elders rose. An ancient being, floating above the others. Its face was made of shifting metal. Its voice cracked like thunder and whispered like wind. Your bond is not ordinary. Your energy bends the rules of species, mind, and time. If we allow it, others will follow. Chaos may come. Jake stood tall. Or something better may come. How do we know your bond is real? Not forced by desire. Not poisoned by rebellion. Zuri raised her hand. Because if it were fake, we would not have survived the bond plane. Another elder spoke, softer this time. Then prove it here, before us. Open your link. Let us see what binds you. Jake and Zuri looked at each other. They nodded. They closed their eyes and opened everything. Thoughts, fears, memories, pain, hope. The council saw it all. Jake's lonely childhood, his longing for purpose, the moment he first saw Zuri's eyes, Zuri's sorrow, her exile, her dream of being loved without fear. They saw the moment their bond sealed. And the silence after, when they held each other and chose to keep going, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. When they opened their eyes, the council was quiet. Then, one by one, the elders stood and bowed. We have seen bonds, but never like this. You have not only proven the truth, you have become it. Your link has awakened something old, something the stars themselves once knew. The platform shook with energy. A new star began to rise behind them. Not from science, not from war, but from their bond. A beacon. The council spoke one last time. You are no longer just human, no longer just Xylari. You are Bridgeborn. Your kind will shape the new age. And then the galaxy listened. Systems far away saw the light. Messages spread faster than politics, faster than law. People, human and alien, began to walk toward each other, not away. Walls cracked. Rules broke. New bonds formed. Not all accepted it. Some resisted. Some still feared what change would bring. But Jake and Ziri were no longer just lovers. They were living proof. A reminder that fear could not stop connection. That control could not crush truth. And that love, when it chooses to rise, shocks the stars themselves. They returned to the colony months later, not as fugitives, not as rebels, but as leaders of something new. Children were named after them, songs written, borders softened, and on the night of the galaxy's celebration, when thousands of lights filled the sky like rivers of flame, Ziri leaned against Jake and whispered, "Do you ever miss the silence?" Jake smiled. "Sometimes, but I love the sound of change more." She kissed his shoulder. "Then let's keep making it." He looked at the stars. They didn't seem so far anymore, because love had already reached them.